I'm so grateful to be worshiping God together with you. As I think about what Chris said, joining in with heaven, sometimes there are foreshadowings of heaven here on earth when we're praising God together, and I feel that, and I sense that, and it's amazing. I'm so glad to be together with you. There is nowhere I would rather be today. But if I had to be somewhere else today, it would probably be at a hockey game. This may surprise you to know, but I love the game of hockey. I love it. I was born in Denver, Colorado, a cold place to live, and hockey is a cold weather sport. And from a young age, I would put on socks on a linoleum floor and skate around and shoot with my family in the kitchen. Growing up, my family did not have the concept of time out. In fact, we had something even more serious, which we borrowed from the game of hockey. We had the penalty box, y'all. You know what I'm talking about? If you don't, if you're new to hockey, I gotta tell you, there's so many reasons I love it. It might be longer than the sermon if I had to take all the time to tell you how much I love hockey, but the penalty box in hockey looks a lot like this drum cage over here that Josh was behind, right? They gotta cage the drummer. He's an animal. Don't let him out. Right? But this is what a penalty box is like. And the penalty box is when a player commits a penalty. They're doing something against the rules. The referee will blow the whistle, stop the play, and say, "This guy, you're in the box for however many minutes." If it's a minor penalty, 2 minutes. If you draw blood, 4 minutes, major penalty. If there's fighting, 5-minute major, 5 for fighting, right? I love the game of hockey. And the penalty box is something we used in our family. My mom was like, "I want a timeout." Like, timeout sounds fun. But the penalty box made it clear. There's been an infraction, and you're going to be sidelined for a minute. The action is going to go on without you while you take a minute to cool off. That is exactly what happens in the game of hockey. And here's the thing. I remember being a little kid and committing an infraction of some sort, right? And I'm sitting in the penalty box, not an actual box, okay? Just need to make that clear. Just another room in the house, and wanting so badly to get back in on the action. And we all have moments in our life where we know what it feels like to be sidelined, to be stuck, and wanting to get back in the game, wanting to get back in action. For you, you might have had a health crisis in your life. You break an arm or break a leg, and maybe something more serious, and you find yourself going, "Man, I had to slow down. I literally could not get back in the game," and you feel stuck. I've spent time in a boot. Your mobility is limited, and you just want to get back out there in the game. Maybe for you, it's a job. Your job feels like a place where you are stuck. I was in the UPS store this week, and I was like, "How's your day going, man?" And he's like, "I don't know how much longer I can take this. I'm not going to be working here much longer." And I was like, "Oh, no." Talking to this guy, it was like people kept calling out. There was one him, and there was a line of like 10 people. That's not his fault. I felt so bad for this guy. He was stuck, and I could tell everything in him just wanted to walk out the door. We all go through seasons in life where we are stuck, where we're waiting, where we don't want to be where we are, where we're sidelined, and we just wish we could get back in the game. And we've been in a series called Joseph's Journey. And where we get to at this point in Joseph's journey, he's stuck. Let's look at what happened. This is Genesis chapter 39 at the very end. It's going to be up here on the screen as well. And this is what it says. Go ahead and throw that up there. Going back to last week, Joseph was his father's favorite. He rubbed it in. He had a terrible attitude, and his brothers hated him to the point that they sold him into slavery. Joseph was acquired by the captain of Pharaoh's guard, and that is where he is today. He was well-built and handsome, the Bible tells us. There are only 7 times in this entire book that someone is described as well-built and handsome. That means Joseph was biblically handsome. Like, this is not, "Hey, he's above average." This is like, "My goodness, what a man." You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what Potiphar's wife thought. She saw Joseph and she was like, "Yeah, I want in on that." And he said, "Not a chance. How could I do that to God? How could I do that to my master? How could I blow off my responsibilities? Absolutely not. And when Joseph said no to her adulterous advances, she accused him of taking advantage of her. And that's where we pick up the story. It says this: as soon as Joseph's master heard the words that his wife spoke to him, "This is the way your servant treated me," his anger was kindled. He said, "You were trying to get with my wife," like rage. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined, and he was there in prison. I need to tell you, Joseph is in the penalty box. Joseph is in the penalty box. And this is not a penalty box with a 2-minute timer or a 4 or a 5-minute timer. There is no end to this season in sight. It would be so easy to lose hope, to lose faith. Like, slavery is bad. And then to go into prison, this is terrible. It's unjust. But look at what Joseph does. It says, the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison put Joseph in charge of all the prisoners who were in the prison. Whatever was done there, he was the one who did it. And the keeper of the prison paid no attention to anything that was in Joseph's charge because the Lord was with him. And whatever he did, the Lord made him succeed. In the Bible, when you see an idea repeated, this is something it uses to drive the idea home. And multiple times in this passage, we see that God was with Joseph. God had not abandoned Joseph, and God is developing Joseph's character and has him in prison for a reason. Let's continue on in chapter 40. It says this: sometime later, the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt offended their master, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was angry with his 2 officials, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker, and put them in custody in the house of the captain of the guard, in the same prison where Joseph was confined. Potiphar, Joseph's master, is the captain of the guard. Joseph did not leave the property when he was put in prison. I wonder if the master's wife ever rubbed that in. Like, if you would just listen to me, I wonder these things, right? He's still in Potiphar's property. And the captain of the guard, that's Potiphar, assigned these prisoners to Joseph, and he attended them. And after they had been in custody for some time, each of the 2 men, the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were being held in prison, had a dream the same night, and each dream had a meaning of its own. When Joseph came to them the next morning, he saw that they were dejected. So he asked Pharaoh's officials who were in custody with him in his master's house, "Why do you look so sad today?" You walk into a room, you see someone looking glum. You're like, "What's going on?" "We both had dreams," they answered, "but there is no one to interpret them." Then Joseph said to them, "Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me your dreams." You see, in this culture, dreams were really important. They believed that dreams were a sign or a symbol, maybe even from the gods. And so Joseph is speaking their language to them. He's saying, "Doesn't God have the answer to the dreams that you're having? Tell me your dreams." And so the chief cupbearer told Joseph his dream. He said to him, "In my dream, I saw a vine in front of me, and on the vine were 3 branches. As soon as it budded, it blossomed, and the clusters ripened into grapes, and Pharaoh's cup was in my hand. I took the grapes, squeezed them into the cup, and put the cup in his hand." This is what the dream means, Joseph said. The 3 branches are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your position, and you will put Pharaoh's cup in his hand, just as you used to do when you were his cupbearer. But when all goes well with you, remember me and show me kindness. Mention me to Pharaoh and get me out of this prison. I'm stuck. I was forcibly carried off from the land of the Hebrews, and even here, I have done nothing to deserve being put in a prison. Circumstances happen that we cannot control. Life happens. Lifes. And Joseph here says, I have done nothing to deserve these circumstances. Would you please remember me and get me out? And when the chief baker saw that Joseph had given a favorable interpretation to the dream, he said to Joseph, do me next. He said, I had a dream too. On my head were 3 baskets of bread. In the top basket were all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh, but the birds were eating them out of the basket, balanced on my head. This is what it means, Joseph said. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh, he will lift, off your head and impale your body on a pole, and the birds will eat away your flesh. Sorry, man. Now, the 3rd day was Pharaoh's birthday, and he gave a feast for all his officials. He lifted up the heads of the chief cupbearer and the chief baker in the presence of his officials. He restored the chief cupbearer to his position so that he once again put the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he impaled the chief baker, just as Joseph had said to them in his interpretation. The chief cupbearer, however, did not remember Joseph. He forgot him. Man, what a birthday party. One guy gets his position restored. The other became the piñata. As I looked at the story, I was like, dang, yeah, he got the stick taken to him. No good whatsoever. This is a situation where Joseph cannot control the outcome. He is stuck. He is waiting. He is delayed. But Joseph is able to endure this suffering and this hardship with hope. How, Joseph? How? The big idea that Joseph's life proves is one that I want to share with you today, and it is this. Don't waste the waiting. Don't waste the waiting. This is important. Don't waste the waiting. You've gone through seasons of waiting in your life. I've gone through seasons of waiting in my life. We go through times that we feel stuck. Don't waste the waiting. This is essential for you to know. The waiting is not wasted. It's not insignificant. It's not meaningless. Don't waste the waiting. And as we look at this, we can see that not wasting the waiting is what just about every character does in this story. Number one, God didn't waste this period of waiting in Joseph's life. God did not waste the waiting. Remember what we read in chapter 39? It was so clear at the end. It repeated it multiple times. While Joseph was in prison, the Lord was with him. God is working on Joseph while Joseph is in prison. While Joseph was waiting, God is still working. God is working on him. God is with him. God is showing him kindness. God is giving him favor. And the Lord was with Joseph and gave him success in whatever he did. God did not waste the season of waiting. God was using it. God was developing Joseph's character. God was helping other people through Joseph's life. And God was putting Joseph in proximity with people at the highest levels of society. Even though they were in the lowest place in society temporarily, God connected Joseph with people who belonged in the palace, something that Joseph could not do on his own. God is moving the pieces behind the scenes. He allowed this to happen, and he worked out a really bad circumstance for something really good. Do you see that? While Joseph is waiting, God is working. But more than that, while Joseph is waiting, he's working too. Joseph didn't waste the waiting either. It says that the captain of the guard and the warden of the prison both trusted Joseph with administrative oversight of the entire prison. So while Joseph is waiting, guess what he's doing? He's working. You know what they call people who bring the food and take care of you at a restaurant? Yes, they're servers, but another name is waiters. And waiters work to help other people. While you're waiting, we can be working to help other people. That's what Joseph did here. Joseph didn't waste the waiting. God didn't waste the waiting. Joseph didn't waste the waiting. And a modern example of someone who didn't waste the waiting would be someone like Corrie ten Boom in more recent history. You see, during World War II, when Jewish people were being persecuted, Corrie ten Boom and her family helped Jewish people hide from Nazi Germany and escape to freedom and safety. So they were waiting for this occupation to stop, but while they were waiting, they were working to help something good happen. And eventually they were ratted out by someone. They were caught and they were sent to a prison camp. And in this prison camp, the way that Nazi Germany killed people was working them to death. They said, we are going to kill you with the amount of work that we're going to give you. And so Corrie and her sister are working all day while they're waiting for the war to end. And while they're waiting, they were also working as agents of the gospel. You see, their barracks, the place where they stayed, was so ridden and infested with fleas that the guards refused to enter. There are records of Corrie ten Boom praying with her sister, thanking God for fleas in prison because the guards wouldn't enter and they were leading Bible studies in their barracks at night. They said, because of these fleas in this imprisonment, we can share the good news of Jesus with others. Corrie ten Boom did not waste the waiting. Her sister died. She was there for a long period of time. But when the waiting season was over, God used the story of what he did through her to help encourage millions and millions of people around the world in a way that we're still talking about her today. If anyone had a right to waste away in prison, it was someone like Corrie ten Boom. But she didn't waste the waiting. Here's the thing. God didn't waste the waiting. Joseph didn't waste the waiting. Corrie ten Boom didn't waste the waiting. And neither should you. Neither should you. So what should we do while we wait? If we're going to wait, what should we do? How do we not waste this waiting season? Number one, you need to seek God. When it says Joseph went into prison, it says that God was with him. That's the first thing that happened. Joseph went to prison, God was with him. When you are in a season of waiting, don't waste it. Seek God. Let that be the first thing you do. Do you feel stuck? Seek God. How many times is it that the first time where we're in a line or bored or just in a situation we can't get out of, we pull out our phones? We pull out our phones. We distract ourselves. We numb ourselves. We try to get some temporary pleasure, take our mind off of what is happening. What would happen if the first time that we were bored or stuck or in a waiting season, we sought God? Our screen time might be a little lower, but at the same time, God wants to be sought. And I will tell you, there are times where you find God closer in a season of waiting than you could in any other time because he's cleared away some of the distractions. He's cleared away some of the responsibilities. You have a season to take advantage of, to seek God strategically. Here's how we do this. We remember he's near. We want to see his perspective, which gives us hope. And we want to use this time to ask some good questions. When we enter into a season of waiting, feeling stuck, so many times the first question we ask is, why me? Why me? It's almost like Joseph said, I know I've done nothing to deserve being here. God, why is this happening to me? But there are maybe some more helpful questions to ask. Questions like, what is God doing through this situation? How is God at work right now? What is God teaching me? How is God developing me? Where is God right now? How can I find God? How can I seek God? Those are more helpful questions to ask in your season of waiting or my season of being stuck. And second, we seek God and then we serve others. Serve others. That's what you need to do when you're in a season where you're stuck, you're waiting, you don't want to be where you are. You need to not just look at your own self. You need to serve others. Remember the waiters at the restaurant? If you're waiting, be serving. If you're waiting, be serving. If you are in a season where you're stuck, it is one of the most hope-giving things in life to lift your eyes off of your own situation and ask questions like this. Who around me is hurting? This is what Joseph did. He's in prison. But do you know what he does? He has people in his care, and he sees them, and he notices they're sad. And he asks, why do you look so sad today? Can I tell you something? The quickest way to get to sharing the good news of Jesus is through the bad news going on in people's life. The quickest way to get to the good news of Jesus is through the bad news in someone else's life. I don't know about you, but in my story, the low chapters have actually been where I found God the most. Why would that not also be true for every person you're encountering in life? Can I tell you that when you hear a complaint or a problem or a sadness or a desperate need, that is opportunity to share the love of God with them. To say, listen, man, that sounds like such a tough place to be. And I've been in seasons where I didn't know what to do either. And I turned my life over to God, and that has made a difference for me. He was with me even in the worst seasons of life. Is that something you've ever done? The bad news is the quickest way to the good news. And I hate to tell you this, but our world is full of bad news. It's full of complaints. It's full of gripes. It's full of anger. It's full of sadness. What an amazing opportunity for the people of God to see other people, to notice their needs, and to ask, why do you look so sad today? Because that could lead to showing them God. That's what Joseph did. Why do you look so sad today? Well, we had a dream. He finds out their need, and then he says, isn't God the one who can meet your need? And then he does something about it. Don't waste the waiting. Use that time to serve others. Ask these questions. Who is around me? Who can I help? What are the needs of the people around me? Take them to God. You pray about it, and then do something about it. Don't waste the waiting. If you're stuck, help someone else's dreams come to pass. If you're stuck, help someone else. And what happens when we do that, guys? We find hope in places that would otherwise leave us down and depressed. We find purpose, we find meaning, we find significance. I saw an amazing example of this in my life recently, and that was through my grandma, Sally. When I married Abby, I gained a grandma. This is not something that I thought about on the front end, but I'm really grateful it happened on the back end. And Sally, for much of her life, was in those later years, she was in a care facility. And it was because she had had health complications. She needed more care than family could give. And so Grandma Sally is in prison, health prison. You know what I'm talking about? How many of you are like, I love to just go walk into places like that? Some of us, praise God for you, right? Because you know what God can do there. For many of us, that's a very uncomfortable place to be. It's a very uncomfortable place to be. It's like people are sick, people are hurting, people are maybe even dying. It's just not a comfortable place to be. And she wasn't so mobile, she couldn't get around. But let me tell you what happened through that. Sally sought the Lord. This woman was on fire for God. Why is it the grandmas and grandpas that are just like seasoned warriors and saints in the faith? I look at her and I'm like, I want to be like you when I grow up. And Sally would do things like this. She would wheel her wheelchair door to door. She was in a little care home with maybe like 10 rooms. She would wheel her wheelchair door to door in these 10 rooms and ask people, how are you doing? And how can I pray for you every night at bedtime? She was like tucking in her buddies, you know, hey, how are you? Can I pray for you at bedtime? And people came to hear about Jesus through Sally. And when she had lonely days and lonely times and lonely hours, she prayed. She sought God. She read her Bible. She would do things like her room was full of frogs. Why? Not real ones, but fake ones, stuffed ones. And whenever she loved frogs, and whenever someone would ask, hey, what's the frog about? She would say, well, you know what frog stands for. It's fully rely on God. She was just ambushing people with the gospel left and right. Like if this is a spiritual warfare, grandma was like a sniper, man. She was just like, boom, 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 Bible, 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 gospel, gospel, gospel. Like, I honestly feel like some of the people Satan is most afraid of in the world are old and wise people in the faith because they've seen a thing or two and it's too late for them to give any cares about it anymore. You know, they're like, I don't even care at this point. Let me tell you about Jesus. I called her God's telemarketer. She would get phone calls from people who wanted her money, right? She's old and they're like, come on, let's get in on this. And she would pick up every call the same way. Someone calls her phone and she'd say, hello, have you accepted Jesus as your Lord and Savior? Every call, y'all. It's like this telemarketer is like, wait, that's my line. Like, I have something to sell you, you know? And God was like, I've got a telemarketer for you today, you know? He's like trying to get through to people through Grandma Sally. This is a season in life where you're like, she should be slowing down. That's what our world tells us. She should be slowing down. Dude, she ramped up. She ramped up, literally, because she was in a wheelchair. She ramped up for real. And here's what I'm here to tell you. 10 days ago, I watched as she took her last breaths and went to be with Jesus. She entered into that well done, good and faithful servant. And I'm like, God, none of us can avoid a season of life where we're stuck. She couldn't fix her health. She couldn't get better. But you know what she did? She didn't waste the waiting. Dang right, she did not waste the waiting. What would our world look like if those seasons for you and for we were more like Grandma Sally? What would it look like to be more of people who don't waste the painful seasons, but who seek God and who serve other people? Maybe that's speaking to you today. Maybe you're going, I'm in a season where I'm waiting on something or I feel stuck. And you just need to know God is with you. Seek him. And maybe an encouragement for you is to serve other people, because what would it look like if we did? This world would be a place with more hope. This world would be a place where people hear about Jesus through their biggest problems and worst nightmares, literally. And for some of you, you may realize today, I don't know if God is actually with me. And I'm here to tell you that you need him and he loves you with his whole heart. In fact, God proved his love for us in this. While you and I cared nothing about him, God was waiting for you. God gave his life for you. Jesus lived a perfect life, died on the cross, paid for all the wrong things we've ever done, and rose to new life because he's God. And maybe for you, for the first time, you need to say, all right, Jesus, I'm letting you in. I don't want to waste this life. I don't want to waste the wait. I want to give my life to you. Can we take just a minute and pray and reflect together? And if for you, for the first time, you're realizing I need Jesus, I've been stuck. I am stuck in my sin and I need him to help me. I've been doing this on my own and I can't do that anymore. You need to turn to him. And here's how you do that. You acknowledge that you're a sinner, that you've done wrong things. I have too. So has everyone. We are all broken. And you ask God for his forgiveness and you invite Jesus to come live in your heart. If you confess your sin, if you believe in your heart that God raised Jesus from the dead, if you profess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord, you will be saved. It's that simple, y'all. And for those of us in this room that you realize I am in a waiting season, I am in a stuck season, or maybe just I've been wasting my life and God is calling me to seek him and serve others, we're gonna take just a minute of waiting at the end of this service, because it is a biblical command to wait on the Lord. We're going to take a minute or 2 minutes, and I want you to just wait on the Lord. Process, use that paper, talk to God, and just ask, Lord, what are you doing, and how can I be part of it?